the Salinas Valley State Prison, Soledad, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello?
Hello, Free. How you doing, sir? We were just making our weekly updates. Why I didn't answer the phone.
Okay, I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Giving God the praise, and it's a beautiful day. I'm looking forward to the day that you get to enjoy nice weather, too.
Yeah, indeed. I'll second that. It's real. There's a lot of noise behind me, a tremendous amount of noise. So the more concise and loud you can talk, the better. I just tried to call you about 5 times, and I get this real rude recording that says goodbye and hangs up, and even did it over and over and over again, saying goodbye, 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 and hanging up. So that's a recording that's rarely used, although that identical recording has interrupted you and I 1 or 2 other times.
Well,
and it's interrupted me with Ken Masat.
Yeah, let me share. We were at my phone, which is the same phone that we have to use to receive prison phone calls. I used to record our preacher giving the sermon this morning, and when I'm using it to record the sermon, I got to put "Do Not Disturb" on the phone calls because the incoming phone calls interrupt the filming of the sermon. And then we just did a year of Jubilee update where we go through every single prisoner, including yourself, and I have to put it on "Do Not Disturb." So that's probably what's happening there is. When I'm using the phone to film, I have to put it on Do Not Disturb.
I'm talking about in the last 4 minutes or 3 minutes before I called you just now.
Yep, that's true. I had it on Do Not Disturb. I just took it off.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I've heard that goodbye recording other times, which is part of GTL's service. I don't think it's yours because I've heard it other times. So
okay.
I don't know if that's the case. It may be, but it may not be. So
okay.
Anyway, other people may have that same thing. I just thought it was maybe our favorite uncle interfering,
I understand.
through the GTL phone service.
I understand.
Yeah. I have to start regrouping. Actually, we started this my last conversation where I wanted to kind of narrow down our focus onto certain things. So I want to just start regrouping as to what I'm going to be doing time-wise. I've barely started my what I'm going to do is a talk over the phone to my classmates. I barely started that. I hope to get that done in the next 2 days. And then also some other letters and statements and things that I want to send you, see if we can put out there in cyberspace about the recent denial and about what the parole board is doing. 2 days ago, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days ago, Thursday morning, that guy that I was telling you about did in fact parole, the guy that had premeditated murder of 2 police officers, 3 murders in prison of prisoners that he got busted for, although 2 of them he quote-unquote beat in the system based on technicalities, but everybody, including himself, acknowledges he did them. And countless, probably literally hundreds of other stabbings, violent acts, robberies of prisoners,
Goodbye.
You still there? It just said goodbye right in the middle of the phone call and hung up on him. That's terrible. I don't know what caused that. I certainly did not do that.
Tel Link, you have a prepaid call from
Free, trying again.
an inmate at the Salinas Valley State Prison, Soledad, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hi, Rudy.
Hi, I heard that. It said goodbye very rudely and then just cut you off. I don't know why it did that. I did not do that. I did not do that. Yep.
Yeah, so you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
I didn't think it was all you or maybe any of you. Maybe you could get with the phone company, because this is doing this more and more with my calls to you. We've had this happen several times before, and I think it's happened with my calls to Ken Masat. It seems like, well, I mean, we're almost always talking about some, bad things with our favorite uncle, and what they're doing with me here. But it seems like when we're at the heart of those things is when that keeps happening. So maybe GTL has several different phone numbers. If you don't have them, I have them here. Maybe you could call them and find out,
Okay.
To get them to stop doing that.
Yeah, you bet. I have.
You need those?
No. I've got the phone numbers for Global Tel. I dealt with them quite a bit.
Okay. Okay, good. What was I saying? Oh, I was saying, oh yeah, the guy I was talking about, he did in fact go home after all that, and probably hundreds of every kind of thing from robberies of state property to robberies of inmates to beating up gangs. And he was a major gangster, major gang activities and such. And all of a sudden, in the last few years, he got rehabilitation, sort of like people get religion. And went to these groups and, talked in these groups about how bad a guy he was and now how he's reformed, and so they let him go home. So this is just more absolute confirmation that a guy that's not guilty of any kind of criminal activity in his life, such as me, which is very rare, literally has to either become a criminal in here and do some horrid things and then reform from it and grovel before them and praise CDC almost like an idol as to how great of an organization CDC and the parole board is or are, and then I can go home. And of course, I'm not going to do that. So it's so backwards. So I want to get the word out there to as many people as possible. That's what's going on, and see if we can get some kind of screaming from the public about that kind of abuse and insanity. That now they've got it so reversed on its head that the worst of the worst criminals can go home, but the best guys who were never criminals cannot go home. And it's psychologically, it's about the most brutal thing they could ever do to me. So,
yeah. And from my perspective, Free, I would love to, demonstrate the name of this individual that has this record so that people could do an apples to apples comparison. But I think it would be concerning because we don't want to cause any trouble for him specifically. But I understand, and so it's just so terrible that
I wrote that in a letter to you that I don't want to put his name out there or his, any focus on him in particular, because it could. His view is that the parole board can any moment go scoop him up off the street, throw him back in prison for no reason at all, and say he's got to go back to prison because they made a mistake or whatever they want to say, even if he's not doing anything wrong.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I'm not going to put that guy in that position, but maybe we can somehow get the word out, not focusing just entirely on him, but on these type of cases. Maybe we can find some others and just, highlight the fact that there's been a number of other cases like that they're doing this with. And so the guy who is the good guy that never was involved in any of those bad things is the one guy that can't go home. It's just horrid. I mean, it's beyond anything. Sane people could never think that way. These people are literally criminally insane to do this.
Yeah. I understand.
I'll be surprised if I could get a judge, any of these California judges or federal judges in the California system, to even acknowledge that this is a real serious problem and that there's anything wrong with it. They have so many procedural things they have set up that there's no substance. The substance of anything anymore is buried and backed up so far down the line behind procedural niceties and legalese things that they don't even get to the heart of anything anymore. The substance of that type of dynamic, as opposed to, they have a system in place and the system is rehabilitation, and so we're not going to listen to anything else.
Yeah.
So that's where we are on that score. Did you make any headway in reaching David Chip Parham?
I have called him. I've called him at least twice, and he hasn't called me back. So I'll call him again Monday morning, and okay. I'll continue to reach out. I don't know if this is worth time to spend during our call, but I guess recently there was a decision that was made, and it didn't go in your favor. And I talked to Mrs. Armitage and a few others, and they were heartbroken. I mean, you should have heard the disappointment, but they said they're going to continue to trust in the Lord going forward. What exactly happened in the last few days regarding this court decision that didn't go in your favor? I don't quite understand it myself.
Okay, I thought I talked to you about it, but I guess I probably didn't. Then
you might have said it, but I'm not. I don't understand legal stuff all that well. Somebody made a bad decision, and
yeah. Okay. So for roughly 2 years, I've had a habeas corpus petition in the court that was based on something centuries old. It's called a disproportionate sentence that's in violation of the Constitution. And when it's in violation of the Constitution, any judge has to order you to be released from prison immediately. So this is what my case was based on. And there were all kind of delays that had nothing to do with me, that had to do with the state attorney general and the judge and whatnot. And they delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And every delay, though, and everything, he kept issuing orders. He issued several orders. They were very much in my favor, indicating that he thought that I had relief coming, that he was going to cut me loose. And the Attorney General refused numerous times to send him a response with information in the response about other prisoners who had been released 10 and 15 years before me that had terrible crime histories and the same sentence or worse sentence that I had. So it was pretty much a shoo-in that he was going to order my release. So what happened is another really unrelated case from another person that's been pending in the California Supreme Court for like 3 years, probably, maybe 4 years, called Henry Butler. That's the prisoner's name is Butler, where the state was trying to renege on a agreement they made, a settlement agreement in a case about 4 years ago or 5 years ago. And that just dragged on and on and on, as they usually do in the California Supreme Court, where finally the judge in my case said, well, okay, now ultimately everything was sent in that he was asking for from both my attorney and from the Attorney General, who's my enemy and my adversary in this. But he wanted to wait and delay the decision because this Butler case the decision was supposed to come out about April 4th. Well, so he delayed another month and a half or so waiting for that. And while he was delaying, as expected, the case did come out on April 2nd, and the California Supreme Court said, yes, the state had a right to renege on their agreement based on certain legal technicalities. And it's a lengthy case. I've read it. I understand it thoroughly. And this judge of mine, instead of understanding what it said, he went off into left field thinking that it said something it doesn't say, thinking that it nullified that centuries-old disproportionate unconstitutional sentence issue, saying it nullifies it because the whole thing is based on if you're a danger to the community. And as long as the parole board says without any evidence to support it that I'm a danger to the community, and think about that, Rudy, I have never hurt a person in my entire life, nor an animal, nor anything except this one self-defense shooting. I've been loving to every kind of creature on this earth, especially human beings, in every regard. I've never done a destructive act in my life except one tiny little thing on a Halloween. I found a paper in the bathroom once. That's about the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
Wow.
And yet they're saying that this guy that just got released, that's killed 2 cops and murdered 3 other people in here and all these other things, he's safe for society, but I'm not, based on nothing except the fact that I get petty 115s that have nothing to do with danger to the community. And that's the insane link-up. So this judge misinterpreted the whole thing or just wanted to use it to deny me relief for some reason, because he's definitely leaning in my favor. Maybe somebody got to him and all of a sudden said, well, what this case says is that because the parole board still says you're a danger to the community, you can't go home, so I'm denying your petition now. So that's what happened. And so it's my attorney, who is no longer with me as a result of that decision. He's now cut loose from being my attorney. He was a very good attorney. That was Eric Weaver, whose name I've shared with you several times before. He put in a notice of appeal and a request for them to appoint a different attorney that's got fresh eyes on this thing that can maybe appeal the thing. Although, I have 35 years of experience doing legal work, and every single time the courts have always told me that habeas corpus petitions are not appealable in California in the state courts, period. You just have to file another petition. But yet Eric says, no, it is appealable. I don't know where he gets that from, but he did file a notice of appeal. I have a copy of it. He sent me in the mail. And so it's on appeal right now, and the appellate court may, in fact, appoint the district appellate program, who are very good attorneys as well. They've represented me several times before on things. And they may take this case on up into the appellate court. The problem is, even if I get a ruling in my favor, which I'm not very confident about with the really corrupt appellate court that we have, it'll take like 1.5 to 2 years or longer before they make a decision. And if the thing gets tangled up in something that the California Supreme Court is doing, that's another four years or more delay. So they expect me to sit here for all those years again, pretending that I may have some relief coming in the courts, while all these years of my life are ticking away, and not only the years of each day that passes, but for every day or week I spend in here.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
More weeks and months are cut off the end of my life that wouldn't have been based on what's happening to my health while I'm here, because I would not eat a genetically modified food out there. I would not drink anything that's got fluoride or chlorine in it, and so on and so on. So they're literally killing me by taking away days and years off the end of my life, as well as each day that passes while I'm in here being stolen from me.
Mm.
It's worse than straight out.
Yeah.
It's worse than straight out murder, because it is a form of murder. It's just a slow, torturous one.
Free, when I tell everybody about your case and how the guards have done all of this things to you over a long period of time, I almost always recommend that they go watch the Stanford Prison Experiment and read that book. I think it's called The Lucifer Effect, How Good Men Turn Evil. And I think that's essential for people to understand when they evaluate your case at Dr. Zimbardo, as you stated before.
Good move. I totally agree, and yes, that is the name of the book. Yeah, I totally agree, and okay. I've tried to encourage people to do the same thing. You could watch. I mean, I've seen a lot of the prison movies from the true stories, like what the heck was that one where the guy was in prison in Turkey, and another one where the guy was in prison in another country. All those, and ones like Sylvester Stallone did a one that was pretty realistic about prison abuses, where he was targeted like I am. And I've seen most of the best of them, and I can't find one that even comes close to depicting what they've done to me. And as you've seen a few affidavits and declarations that show that my treatment has been unique. It's not just me saying so. We don't know all the reasons why. We know there's some spiritual warfare. We know that I'm hated because I'm a leadership type of a personality, and that clashes with staff egos. No matter how much I try to downplay that or just not let it shine, it's still there. It's just in a person's nature. You can't do anything about it.
Right.
So all those reasons, and the fact that I will not stand by and watch somebody get the daylight beat out of them by a guard and not do anything about it. For all those reasons, and for me blowing the whistle on a lot of the crimes, there's so many crimes committed in CDC every single day, almost every single hour that we see that, I mean, if it's none of my business, I just let it go anymore. But if it is my business, or if it's something that is really affecting and hurting a lot of people, I'll say something, stand up and do something about it. And that they've had me on their kill list for over 30 years because of that aspect of me. I mean, just the fact California was in, give you an idea, sometimes it's not even a reflection on staff abuse or crimes exactly. When we were in the height of our drought in California, the worst drought in, 70 years, 150 years, whatever, over this past several years, I'd watch showers left on 24 hours a day that couldn't be shut off because the plumbers wouldn't spend 5 minutes and come over here and make the adjustment to fix the problem.
Wow.
And so I complain about stuff like that because I monitor it. I fill up a gallon jug, I time it, and I say,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
Billions of gallons of water a year from this one shower, and there's like 50 showers across the state this is being done with, and a bunch of other things like the timers on our water that won't allow them to be shut off for a half a minute, or toilets that flush for 4 minutes straight. All of this kind of stuff. I file stuff on because I'm looking at how much we need water when we're in the height of that drought. So those kind of things have caused me also to be number one in their sights. And
you have 30 seconds remaining.
Hey, I'll call Mr. Parham again tomorrow just to let you know before our call ends.
Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead. Use up the next 20 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, we care about you and we love you, Free, and we're going to do what we can. We got your story up on our website, and I pray that people are writing you letters. And you mentioned those things that we need to focus on moving forward, so I need to go revisit that. But it's good to hear. Yep.
Good. Okay. Thank you, so.
Okay, it cut us off. It cut us off right in the middle of having a conversation.